Authorities here made public their final framework of guidelines earlier on this Friday to allow for a gradual transition into a new normal. Choi Min-jung joins me now with details on that. Min-jung, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so Min-jung, what does our final framework say?
So the Prime Minister earlier announced the finalized plans for the scheme. So over a 4-week period starting on November 1st, South Korea will begin its 3-step transition back to normal life. All businesses, including restaurants and cafes, will now be able to operate 24 hours a day. But bars, clubs, and other nightlife entertainment facilities will have to close at midnight. Vaccine passes will also be required for people to enter high-risk venues like bars, fitness centers, and singing rooms. Those who aren't vaccinated will need a negative PCR test taken within the past 48 hours. Some have complained that this measure is unfair as it is not required for entry into other facilities that may also be vulnerable to infections. But let's take a listen to what the Prime Minister had to say.
This decision was inevitable as it is needed to reduce the risk of infection fueled by the easing of restrictions. However, depending on the facility, a 1 or 2 week grace period will be provided to prevent on-site confusion.
Limits on social gatherings have been lifted as well. For social gatherings, a maximum of 10 people can meet in the capital region, and elsewhere, 12 people can get together, regardless of vaccination status. However, groups at cafes and restaurants should include no more than 4 unvaccinated members.
Right, so if 10 people were to gather in a restaurant or cafe, you'd have to have at least 6 people who are fully inoculated, Min-jung.
That's right, Sunny.
Right. Now, Min-jung, what about overseas travel? When can we start to fly outside of the country for leisure?
Yeah, you won't have to wait for too long because starting next month, numerous international flights will once again become available. Korean Air will resume flights to Hawaii, Sydney, and Auckland, and Asiana Airlines will increase the number of flights to Bangkok from 3 times a week to every single day. The country also formed a travel bubble with Singapore earlier this month, and the flights will take off in November as well. Koreans who are fully vaccinated will be able to visit the country without quarantine, and they will also be exempt when coming back. But they will need to get tested negative for COVID-19 3 days prior to returning.
Right, so even if you are fully vaccinated, if you're returning back to the country from overseas, you need to hand in a negative PCR test.
Right.
Right, Min-jung, finally, how are authorities here responding to concerns about further resurgences once restrictions are eased?
Right, so health authorities are concerned as they're saying that cases could soar up to 20,000 a day once the country transitions to living with COVID-19. The Korean Medical Association says South Korea may have to face a 5th wave of the pandemic as restrictions are eased. They also added that the cold winter season is another cause for a potential spike. While acknowledging the need for a step-by-step recovery, experts emphasize that officials should focus on preventing a meltdown in the medical system as well. In case of such an emergency, or when more than 80% of hospital beds are occupied, officials say they will consider halting the restrictions temporarily to enforce an emergency plan.
I see. All right, Min-jung, thank you for now, but stay with us for the broader talks.
Thank you.